And now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's main speaker. Grayson Dantzic is an author, archivist, curator, documentary videographer, musician, photographer, and poet. He is a graduate of Brandeis University and the Palmer School of Library and Information Science of Long Island University. He is the Special Projects Archivist for the Warner Music Group Archives and the 𝗕𝗶𝗹𝗃𝗁 Collection at the Metropolitan Opera Archives, and has worked with many photographers and their collections. In 1999, he and his mother, Cynthia, who is also here with us tonight, established the Jerry Dantzic Archives. He edited and wrote text for the books Jerry Dantzic, New York, The 50s in Focus, and of course, Jerry Dantzic, Billie Holiday at Sugar Hill. He has curated many photograph exhibitions and is co-founder and executive vice president of the American Photography Archives Group since it began in the year 2000. Currently, he is of course working with the Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibit Service, also known as CITES, on Billie Holiday at Sugar Hill, Photographs by Jerry Dantzic, the traveling exhibit based on the book, which we are, of course, currently hosting through the end of February. So please join me in welcoming our speaker for tonight, Grayson Dantzic.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Abby Young, and thank you, Christine Jansen, and everyone at the Durham Museum for your support and bringing this beautiful Smithsonian exhibition, my late father, Jerry Dantzic, to your beautiful museum. These unseen Billie Holiday photographs were an absolute obsession of mine when I first discovered them many years ago. And I'm just so grateful that the exhibition has been traveling and it continues on into the beautiful city of Omaha, Nebraska there. So sorry I couldn't be there, and I'm just my second Zoom. I had really enjoyed doing that last month as well for the volunteers at your beautiful museum. Let me go ahead and share screen and get this party started because that would be good. All right, here's the beautiful cover of our book, and magical thing was finding the actual cover shot, and Billie, the iconic shot of the Royal Billie Holiday on stage at Sugar Hill in Newark, New Jersey, 1957, April, and beautiful. So here's a little introduction, and my key themes today are really trifecta. It's piecing together the puzzle of what the pieces were that I found of my father's, and making a cohesive project, changing the narrative, ripping the page from history and not accepting what I've been told, the version of who Billie Holiday was, and then the dual tribute, which is about Billie Holiday and my father and the connection that they had and they shared from both sides of the stage. So we start here for context in terms of my life and what Billie meant to me. And Billie was a voice. I never saw Billie before I heard Billie. And it was a sanctuary that I heard Billie's voice as a child growing up in Brooklyn in a big house. And one of the first things I did as a child, I was able to bootleg Billie Holiday before the box sets came out. So I found some old cassettes of mine when I used to listen to Billie Holiday. There were 24 hours of Billie Holiday broadcasts in New York, and I was able to hold on to as much of Billie Holiday as I had, and I continually, I think I had 15 hours, I had a whole pile of tapes. As I mentioned, you know, what I saw ultimately after I heard Billie was very confusing to me in some ways. There's a beautiful Bill Gottlieb photograph, which you've seen many times. Bill was a dear friend and a genius writer as well as a photographer. But the Billie, here's a 𝗕𝗶𝗿 photograph. Billie was sort of typecast as this, you know, beaten down woman, this woman, this drug addict, a broken woman. Even on her advertisement for her autobiography that she co-wrote with William Duffy, she's here as a shattered woman. The painful face, it was just over and over and over to me. It was just too much. And I knew there must be something else. Little did I know, I'll cut to that in a second, but little did I know that my father here, Jerry Dantzic, and my mother, Cynthia Dantzic, this is what I knew growing up. So I just want to let you know that I had this whole relationship with Billie Holiday even before I knew my father photographed Billie. But what I grew up was, as the child of Jerry and Cynthia Dantzic, traveling on the road. We were Guggenheim sponsored and NEA sponsored cross-country exhibitions. My father was photographing with a circuit camera and was getting specially cut film from Kodak. We did that in all 50 states and even Australia. We were invited after the Museum of Modern Art show in 1978. My father had the first solo panoramic show curated by John 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏. And there we are in Adelaide in the plaza, holding a picture, I think, of Pittsburgh. And you know, it was 1979. Oh, what can I say? It's great to see my father looking young and alive, and everybody looking good. So when I went up to my father's studio in the late 90s, when my father had been sick and I was really trying to figure out who he was, he said, you know, go up to that studio, that's who I am. And I didn't really know what he meant by then because I had never been allowed to go upstairs. So among the first things that I found was this photograph of Billie Holiday on the floor, along with all kinds of other photographs of Louis Armstrong and Ingrid Bergman and Miles Davis and, you know, Dick Clark show and all kinds of beautiful things. And I had no idea that he'd done these photographs. And there's the file, which was C-176, which was taken in April of 1956. And it was actually, he shot for C magazine. It was the first use. I'll show you some photos of that. Was used with the excerpt from Billie Holiday's autobiography. But my mother, before I became the official archivist, my mother was the official archivist proper, and here she was using Jerry Dantzic stationery as she worked with the folks at Jelly Bean to get some of my father's photographs in Vanity Fair. The contact sheet with markings from the editor, using available light only, never with a flash. This is Billie Holiday at Sugar Hill in Newark, New Jersey on Broad Street, right across the street from City Hall. Here's the photograph that accompanies the David Margolick article that was written about strange fruit. And David was very pinnacle. It was the first time this photograph was ever published, by the way. David was very pinnacle because through David asking for people to know about things and to have photographs and other things, I got to meet him and I met Bill Duffy. And we didn't do the cover that we were supposed to do. This was the beautiful cover that was proposed, but it never materialized. But it's lovely to have it as a memory. So I got to meet Bill Duffy. Bill Duffy, as I mentioned before, was the beautiful man who co-wrote Lady Day's autobiography in 1956. So here he is writing to me, typing to me back in 1999, as you can see. And he goes, "You're too June to call you Gray and too young for me to call you son. So let me call you sweetheart." And that encapsulates the beauty of this man, a gorgeous soul if ever there was one. And we got to see him very briefly. But one thing to mark is that Billie always thought of the Duffy house as the safe house. And you'll see it says the safe house. It was her place away from everyone else where she could be at home. And she wrote that down as 43 West 93rd Street on the 5th floor. The same apartment building, by the way, that Gary Winogrand lived in. Interesting footnote. So here's my mother's diary entry from the moment that Bill Duffy came and visited my parents and me in our house in Brooklyn. It was wonderful. Bill had not seen my father since the 50s. And there we are. Look, I had black hair. But it was great that we could bring them together after all these years. It was never quite understood whether through Jeffrey Holder that we got to meet Bill Duffy. It's a sort of a gray area, if you will. But through all the beautiful friends and colleagues, we were able to connect, with Bill Duffy after all these years. And Bill was a gorgeous soul. What can I say? He played, for all we know, on the family Steinway piano before we left. And I wish with all my heart we had videotape of that, because it was an absolutely extraordinary moment. You know, this man he just channeled Billie for the moment and played, and it just filled us all with so much love. And it was great honor to meet this man and be, call him a friend in the brief time that I knew him. We tried to do the book in early 2000, and we kept looking for more pieces of the puzzle here, as I said, trying to put it all together. And I looked up in my father's studio, and beyond the photos that I found in the file, there were slides, this color slides that we found of Billie Holiday and Lionel Hampton and Louis Armstrong. And we found a ledger from 1957, and it says Decca Records, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 entries from the bottom. It says Decca Records, Billie Holiday, $25.75, which to my knowledge is all he made from the shoot. But you can see he was also very active in shooting for Circle in the Square and RCA Victor and Life magazine, 20th Century Fox. So he was a freelancer of the moment there, and working very hard. In his Rolodex, which predated the cell phone, there he is with his contact at Decca Records. Okay, so he was shooting for Decca Records as a freelancer in '56. This is the cover, the uncredited cover, by the way, for Decca Records. Bruiser Bluin, which was actually a reissue of stuff that was recorded in the 40s, but somehow they needed this beautiful photograph in color of Billie that I don't have the slide of, unfortunately. But here she is in the pink lacy dress that she wore on April 18th, Thank you, Bob Parent, because he kept meticulous notes. Bob was another noted and important jazz photographer. We'll talk about him in a bit. But I found my father's tax records, and it says many trips to Newark, which is really lovely. Pardon me, but you'll see he was a photojournalist and living well in the city. So among the things that I was able to discover in putting together the pieces of the puzzle was the actual moment that my father got to meet Billie Holiday. And here is a segment from one of the contact sheets at the Douglas Hotel in Newark, New Jersey, in which Billie Holiday gets to meet Jerry Dantzic while she's being put into her gown by her newly wedded husband, 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏 gives my father the once-over, and my father must have passed the test because they got to hang for an entire week in April '57, Easter week. I even located in my parents' house in Brooklyn the business card from 𝗏𝗏. So I know they definitely met, and I was so happy to find this as a piece of ephemera that you'll see as part of a gorgeous collage designed by my dear friend Willie Chu. I bought on eBay the Douglas Hotel period-specific 1950s matchbook, so you can give some love to Newark, New Jersey. And I got to meet some wonderful people along the investigative route that I traveled. I went to see, as I mentioned, Bob Parent was a beautiful photographer in the 50s and known as one of the premier jazz photographers, working with his nephew. Here's Dale Parent doing research in the Bob Parent files. And we did excruciating work looking for a photograph of Jerry Dantzic. And we believe corner left is one of the photographs of Jerry with a camera at Billie right there. And another one, if you can believe it, in the corner right, lower, looking about like this, you'll see with dark glasses is Jerry Dantzic. I kid you not, it exists. And this again is April 18th, 1957 at Sugar Hill. There were only 3 photographers that I was aware of that photographed that day. As I mentioned, Bob Parent, and then also 𝗏𝗏𝗆𝗏 and Bill Spilko, who I'll show you in a second. But these are the other things that my father photographed. Later in the year, got to photograph Billie Holiday at Randall's for the 2nd New York Jazz Festival at Randall's Island Stadium. In that program, my father had stuff that he photographed from the first year at the Randall's Island New York Jazz Festival. Here's a strip of Sarah Vaughan, and this is Randall's Island, the gorgeous Billie Holiday performing in full dress. And there's one of the beautiful color photographs that I have. 2 1/4 color negative shot on a Rolleiflex. And how do I know it's shot on a Rolleiflex? Because Chuck Stewart, my father figure, Chuck Stewart, who I miss every day, this photograph was taken, and Chuck always told me that I was using his photographs. When he was there with my father photographing, you'll see Jerry Dantzic again with the Rolleiflex, and they were photographing together along with all the great photographers of the day at Randall's Island in August of 1957. So that was one of the beautiful gifts that Chuck was able to let me see. And this is part of the Smithsonian exhibition, by the way, on the wall of the Durham Museum exhibition. As I mentioned, Bill Spilko was the other 3rd photographer present that I was aware of, that I've seen photographs from. Now, one of the mysteries that I had always found out with my father was what else was there besides the 11 rolls of film that he shot. He shot 11 rolls of black and white film and a couple of color slides, and I found the 2 1/4 color stuff. But there was this one strip of film on a Plaza Hotel photo shoot in 1957, and it says, "Do not contact." And it turns out that it's a very important piece of the puzzle, because here she is at the bar after the gig one night, and she's signing autographs, and she's walking off into the night and giving us our beautiful, beautiful back cover. Thank you, Christopher Sweet. I'll mention him later too, gorgeous man, and one of my dear friends. Editor of the book and just everything at the Thames and Hudson. So Thames and Hudson was on my father's radar, because here it is in the Rolodex. And little did I know that we'd catch up with them in the fall of 2016. Here we are on the cover of the Thames and Hudson catalog. It's just amazing how I was putting together all these pieces of the puzzle, being a history detective, if you will. So here on the back of one of my father's vintage prints is 65 South 6th Street, which just happens to be the same place where he lived with his parents at the very time that he photographed Billie Holiday. And here are the mock-up and the final of the business card that my late aunt, Antonita, who I love, art directed and put together for him. And this is part of the photo collage as well. And there is 65 South 6th Street as it still stands, I hope, It was there a couple of years ago. It's still here. And this is where Jerry Dantzic had a little photo studio and was able to, develop his film and do those things to get these photographs together at that time. And there I am with my author photograph, trying to pay tribute to my beloved father. Oh, thank you, 𝗲𝗁𝗀𝗂, for that great photograph. One of the mysteries also on the, looking at the back of the vintage prints, was it says C/November, Lady Sings the Blues. Well, I bought a copy of the book, Lady Sings the Blues, page 22. There's no consistency. But I found out through periodical research, it was a magazine called C Magazine, and it was November 1957. And there it is, the Billie Holiday story, a cover story. And there were 7 Jerry Dantzic photographs. This spread right here is actually in the vitrine along with one of Jerry Dantzic's Leica M3s. He shot most of the work with Leica M3s when he didn't shoot with the Rolleiflex. And here we are with the epiphany, before I was even born, Jerry Dantzic photographs, words by Billie Holiday. Amazing. All these pieces of the puzzle kept, accruing. And then, of course, there's the mystery of this photograph, which it said flop on the back. And I realized flop meant it was flopped the wrong way. So somehow the photo editor liked Billie looking that way, but Billie was looking this way, towards City Hall, with Carl Drinkard, her piano player, behind her. So anyway, that was another mystery solved. One of the mysteries we haven't solved, ladies and gentlemen, and if anybody knows, please feel free to let me know. Tell me about this compact, this beautiful, large, square compact, and who these women are, I do not know. But this was a week after her birthday, her 42nd birthday, which would have been April 7th. So this is, again, that's the pink lacy dress. So we know this is April 18th. We don't know why she got this beautiful gift. Was it a late wedding gift? Was it a birthday gift? Was it just because they loved her? Anyway, would like to find out. And here she is with Bernie Weissman next to him. And we don't know who these 2 musicians are. We assume they're musicians as they're in tuxedos. This is on the streets of Newark. We don't know. That's another piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to decipher. So another aspect, as I mentioned, the trifecta tonight is changing the narrative, really taking back from history. Here's a beautiful, this was a fax from late Bill Dufty. And he's telling me all about how, it was Billie Holiday was safe at the house. And it was an important part of the thing for her to know that she could be safe at that place. So in doing the work, I printed up all 400 plus pictures by 5x7s and put them into sleeves. And here we are. This is my dear friend, Christopher Sweet, who I mentioned was always at the base of the project and always wanted to do the project since I met him back in 1999 or 2000. And it was really great to work on and then not miss any of the photographs that I wanted to have. 1 second. Where am I? Hold on. Okay, so here I am. In 2006, I did my internship at the Institute of Jazz Studies in Rutgers University. And we actually had a show in 2005, of some of the Jerry Dantzic jazz stuff as well. Welcome, welcome. So here we are working with, again, trying to bring it back home to Newark. And this exhibition will actually travel to Newark this summer in June of 2022. And I'll be giving tours. So if you're in town or you want to come to town, please get in touch with me. I'll be very happy to give you a personal tour. So here's Guy Sterling and Chris Collins working hard to do the cover story. After 50 years, Billie coming back to Newark, the unseen photos of Billie Holiday. I was so excited to do this. And there we are with a big picture. The first time this picture had been published both of those pictures have been published in 50 plus years. And it's at the spotlight at the Newark Star Ledger. This picture crystallizes everything for me. This photograph, as I mentioned, it's April 18th, 1957. Her beloved 𝗵𝗶𝗍 that she got as a gift from Ava Gardner. She's looking at her photographer, trusted friend, who she's negotiating with. All these beautiful images. There's no stress between her eyes. She's got a gig that night. The rest of the week, she's getting paid. It's unbelievable. This was the Billie Holiday that I knew in my heart existed. At peace with the world for the moment, feeling the love, and just on top of the world with this moment. And just so happy to see this and witness this. And of course, captured by my father. So it's very good. So here she is walking in front of the venue with Bernie Weissman, who was the manager and owner of the club. And Bernie had spent a lot of money, as I found out. Bernie spent a lot of money because it was a big coup to get Billie Holiday in Newark, because she was unable to perform in New York City because of an old existing offense for drug offense. So she couldn't get a cabaret card, and she couldn't perform in New York City. One of the small pieces that I found was a little handbill, which is a big Easter show, and she's playing there all week. You can see. And on the back of the handbill was an autograph. I had gotten that from somebody who had actually been to the show. The inspiration for our cover came from the original cover. This is the Bill Duffy co-written Lady Sings the Blues autobiography. And you'll see with the red, white, and blue situation there, or black and white and blue, light blue. We pay homage to that right there. Again, the beautiful walking off photograph and the beautiful introductory photograph. One of my co-curators with the site's exhibition is Dr. Robert O'Mealy, and here he was influencing me early on, even before. I had been working with him, and Phoebe Jacobs, my mentor many years ago, and it was lovely to have him back in the mix. One of the people who unfortunately didn't make the project, but was always very important in my heart, is the late Ben Lifson. And Ben Lifson left me with these things, and he's at the bottom of this email, and I'll share this with you, and it's in the back of the book as well. And he leaves this quote because he always wanted to write for Billie Holiday and unfortunately was not able to. But he says this, and it's very poignant. I'll share this with you. Remember, this is Billie Holiday. If she'd been a man and played basketball, nobody would ever be paying attention to Michael Jordan. She is to jazz what Bobby Fischer is to chess, the miracle that everyone's hoping will happen again. Thank you, Ben Lifson. We miss you. Just beautiful stuff, and it had to be, it had to be included here in the piecing together of this beautiful story. So as I also mentioned, it's a dual tribute. And here's the father that I never knew. This is Jerry Dantzic in the 50s with his Leica M3s around his neck and an ascot, for God's sakes, taken by my grandfather Howard Gross. And Howard also has a photograph in the we call him Artie, right, Mom? We call him Artie. Anyway, we have a photograph of Jerry Dantzic with the Leicas that's in the vitrine next to the copy of C magazine. And here is the Frank Maynard Wolf contact sheet of Jerry Dantzic in the studio with my mother, 1957. My dad smoked for 20 years. I didn't even know that. How about that? So, and again, look at that black hair. I don't even have black hair. So this is 1957, and this is the closest thing I've got. But this is the moment of Billie Holiday in the hotel, the Douglas Hotel, sort of negotiating with my father, seeing if she can actually, after Louis McKay sort of gave his once over and it said my father was okay, here she is, being a very observant and protective woman, seeing if she can trust my father. And she's got the stars and the moon dress that we love. She's looking at Jerry. She's telling him stories and talking to him at the bar. They had a really fast friendship. He always said, they were very informal. He never called her Miss Holiday. He only called her Billie, and she called him Jerry. And they were buddies. And that's just, that says so much to me about the whole project. But through the contact sheets, I was able to see, here she is in another. This is the white dress that she wore the other night. And you see the entire bunch of dresses there to her left, backstage at Sugar Hill. Here she is looking, always looking, making sure, negotiating. The key word, the operative word is negotiating. Here she is with the large compact that she received as a gift. And also, one of the things that I looked when I was trying to piece together the puzzle here was, well, here she is holding, or actually this is Bevan Duffy, her godchild, who is Bill Duffy's son, in the arms of his mother, Maylie Duffy, who was one of Billie's dear friends, in the Duffy house at 43 West 93rd Street. But look at the way that Maylie's looking at her. It's just an icon. It's a sainted look. It's a beautiful look of love, and Bevan had, never seen these photographs since I gave him a copy of the book, and it validated his whole life, because he had told me that he's telling people his whole life he was Billie Holiday's godson. And here, finally, I could give him proof. He's a great man, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So we don't know who this woman is, even though she looks a little bit like Sophia Loren. You can see back behind Billie Holiday is the City Hall, and Billie is looking at her marquee on the wall there at Sugar Hill. And one of the other things I see was the cashier looking at Billie as she spills a drink back behind after the gig, and Billie hugging Bevan. I've never seen this, but I knew this maternal, beautiful character. Just giving back Billie's humanity was really the whole reason for this, because Billie had meant so much to me. Just listening to that voice and everything she taught me about life, from sadness and love and loss and just fun, and give me a pig foot and a bottle of beer and all those. And she just had everything. She just painted the world so vividly for me. She just had so much love in her. She's here grabbing a fan on the street. You notice it. There's just all this great feeling. And she always wanted to have a child. She never had to have a child, but her dogs were her children. You can see here, look at how Bevan holds her arm and how she holds. It's the same energy. I just love finding that. And here's Bill Dufty holding his son in a way that my father held me in the 70s. Just really putting all these pieces together, just making so much sense to me, because I didn't know who my father was in many ways. And I always loved Billie Holiday, and the fact that Billie was photographed by my father had this whole friendship with her, meant so much to me. So going fast forward as I'm checking the clock, one of the great things was my dear friend Jill Waterman doing a beautiful piece for me at the B&H Explorer, which I did a talk, and that was wonderful. And the press was good for me early on. We had, before the book came out even, when my father passed in 2006, my father was a lifetime member of ASMP, American Society of Magazine, but then Media Photographers. And here was Jerry Dantzic's Unseen Lady Day. The very first time my dad was published in the New Yorker, accompanying the gorgeous and brilliant, transcendent Zadie Smith's essay, which became the introduction to our beautiful book. Crazy, they call me, upon looking at the photographs of Jerry Dantzic. There's James Estrin had always said to me, whenever we do the book, he'll be happy to do a nice thing. And John Leland did the essay with that. Here is one of my other mentors, the great Dan Morgenstern, Director Emeritus at the Institute of Jazz Studies, Newark, New Jersey, who gave me the fantastic quote with these photographs: "Intimate, but not intrusive." Thank you. Love you, Dan. And another dear friend, Robert, from the National Arts Club, Robert Yonner. Thank you, because before we did the Smithsonian exhibition, we did 16 pictures at the National Arts Club in March of 2017, just as the book had not even been out yet. And grateful for him and for everything that that National Arts Club has always done. Here we are together at the exhibition. There behind, you'll see that's the photograph taken by my grandfather of my father. That's in the vitrine, with my father holding Leica cameras. A dream. My mentor, Phoebe Jacobs, told me, when I'm serious, I will go to see Marquette Folly at the Smithsonian Institution. And I tried to get Marquette to see the exhibition at the National Arts Club. She couldn't do that, but I kept pushing, and somehow magically they agreed to do the show. And here's the prospectus from the show. And I'm trying to go faster. I had the glorious team of co-curators, Shannon Perrich and Bob O'Mealy and Marquette and Sarah Artes, my project director, and Teresa Jonas and everybody. And we decided upon about maybe 80% of the book, but there they are. There's my team that put together this incredible exhibition that's now at the Durham. Along the way, Deborah Willis and Daniel Dawson, we did a talk about Billie Holiday and just incorporating the music along with the essence of who she was. The very first time we had the exhibition was in October of 2019 at the Irving Arts Center. And we're so grateful for Marcy Inman and everybody there who treated us so royally. Here was the most amazing thing in this huge room. The first time I'd seen this exhibition, that it had meant so much to me. And again, this incredible dual tribute, not only to Billie Holiday, but there's the vitrine with my grandfather's photograph of my father's Leica M3, and the copy of C Magazine, which has his photographs next to Billie's words. Ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't say what this means to me. It's just absolutely the culmination of everything I worked so hard for 20 years, and just I'm so happy to have it. The next venue was at the Museum of Arts and Sciences in Florida, and they treated us very well. As in addition, looked beautiful on the walls. There's the beautiful ephemera collage, as I said, designed by my dear friend Willie Chu. And you'll see everything from my aunt's business card, what I mentioned, to Dufty's notation there, and what's his name, Louis McKay's business card, all my dad's files. I mean, there was just so much stuff. I'm trying to give you everything as wrap it in here. So we next went to the Fort Smith Regional Art Museum in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and that was just tremendous. Delana Vaughn and the folks there treated us absolutely wonderfully, and unfortunately was not unable to go there because of the pandemic, but the exhibition looked glorious on their walls, and we got lots of coverage. And I'm going fast, as we're a little bit at 8, hold on. So yeah, I was really happy with the coverage that we got. And the main thing for me is about making sure that the children of today know this Billie Holiday so that they can pay it forward for their children and the children's children, so that you get a more complete idea of who Billie Holiday was, and you don't think of her as the one-dimensional character, as the beaten woman, drug addicted. She had love in her life. She was love. She was a source of love in life for so many, and she radiated that, and she gave that to many people that just never captured in so many ways. We went to the American Jazz Museum, my mother and I, in July of 2021. And Rashida Phillips and Dr. Dina Bennett and James McGee treated us royally, and we just give them so much kudos. Thank you so much for that. That was a tremendous, we went down and got to see that. In Kansas City was very big with jazz, of course, and the American Jazz Museum was fantastic. Now we get to the incredible Durham Museum. And unfortunately, I can only look at it vicariously, but it's been amazing. The feeling that I've gotten doing the first talk and the second talk has been tremendous. I saw that there was a couple of clips on TV. Thank you, Jessica Brummer, for that. And thank you so much to Emma Sundberg as well. I was able to find those little clips. And then just to give you guys a little quick peek of what things look like there at the Durham Museum, the exhibition's glorious. 57 pictures you've never seen of Lady Day. And you get to hear Lady Day because there's a recording of her singing Fine and Mellow. Amazing. And to today, as the great Bob Mealy has said, this is a Billie Holiday the world has never seen, and these photographs are taking back the narrative, giving her dignity and humanity. I hope that everybody listens to Billie Holiday and takes it into their hearts. Most heartfelt project. I'm so grateful. My mother took this incredible photograph back in 2002, which was part of the Jerry Dantzic New York. Thank you so much for joining us for this. But before I leave you, what I like to do is stop sharing and turn it over to my mother, Cindy Dantzic. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Take it away, Mom.
Hello. I don't know what can be said except that Grayson is the most amazing rescuer of the most amazing photographs, because although my husband was hired by Decca Records to take one photograph, all they really wanted was one photograph for $25, but you can see the hundreds and hundreds of pictures that he actually made. And he never printed. He didn't print more than a handful of them because Jerry was not at all the same kind of person. Gray is an archivist, a very precise, meticulous archivist. Everything has to be precisely ordered and as you can see, orchestrated into this exhibit that you're seeing, which is fantastic. But Jerry wanted to take the photographs. He didn't particularly care to see the photographs. He certainly didn't particularly care to put them together. And this exhibit that Grayson has created, I think would amaze him. I don't think he would believe that it could have been done because he never printed some. Gray found the contact sheets, of course, remember, pre-digital, 36 exposures on one roll of film. That's it. Then you have to go and find a dark place, put yourself in a dark spot, change the roll of film, another 36 exposures. Now, kids have no idea about contact sheets, about exposure. You just shoot, 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 and maybe later you'll delete, but it's a completely different thing because when he was photographing, he had to be sure that each photograph was designed and arranged and orchestrated and composed exactly the way he wanted. And then he would shoot it, but not necessarily print it. It's quite an amazing thing that Grayson has done, and I'm very proud of him. And I also wanted to mention that, well, Gray said I was there, but when Jerry took some of these photographs, when he took the photographs in Manhattan at the Dufty residence, I was not going to go upstairs. It would have been very intrusive for Jerry to bring his girlfriend. At the time, we weren't even married yet. So I was sent downstairs to the movies, and I saw the two world's worst movies that have ever been made. The Incredible Shrinking Man and The Deadly Mantis coming out. Anyway, I'm sitting there in the movie theater. I'm thinking, I am watching the world's worst movies. And Jerry is upstairs with Billie Holiday. It was a fantastic life. And I have to say, I'm very proud to have been the wife of a fantastic man who is a wonderful photographer, but he needed the skill and the precision and the selectivity and the love of his son. He would be so proud of you, Gray.
Oh, thank you, Mom. I love you so much. And I'm proud to be your son and do my father's, carry his dream forward. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think we can open it up for some Q&A. And I happen to see my new friend, Freddie. He's there with Suzette. I see a photograph. I made friends with John Fulton Short's son all these years later, and John Fulton Short was the American qualified bullfighter. That's a whole other story, but it's just so great to see my new friend there in the audience, and Joan Cooper, dear family friend. I see a question. Oh, I don't see a question. I see a question asking for questions. I can just tell you the satisfaction of seeing this exhibition together. Again, every time I see it, it's as if I can look at it for the first time. It tells a story that is absolutely glorious in terms of the connection between a photographer and subject. That's always something that goes unspoken. You realize that photographs are a connection between two people. And a testament to the connection that Billie Holiday and Jerry Dantzic had, the respect they had for each other, was in Jerry's not shooting with a flash, Billie allowing him to photograph and trusting on both sides of it. And that he only took 11 rolls of film in a week means he was being very precise about what he was shooting. He was not just firing away with a crazy flash. A lot of photographers would have done differently, but he was very respectful. I've got a couple of questions. I did talk with my father, question here. I spoke to him, and the big memory that he had was that Duke Ellington came down one day, and he didn't photograph Duke, but he spoke in a very high voice and mimicked Billie Holiday, Duke. So I know for a fact that it actually existed. So somewhere in his files, maybe I will come across a photograph of Duke Ellington, but at this point I have no Duke Ellington photographs. That was the outstanding, amazing epiphany that he shared with me. But many times when he looked at the photographs, he was like, that's a great photograph. Did I take that photograph? But he did love 𝗵𝗵, and it always made him laugh that he saw when 𝗵𝗵 licked Billie Holiday's face backstage at Sugar Hill. He always loved that photograph. I would say, my favorite song, there's a question here from Rogeria. My favorite Billie Holiday song would fluctuate. I would say, For All We Know, In My Solitude, I went to the sadder songs as a child, but Give Me a Pig Foot and a Bottle of Beer, or Them Their Eyes, those could be working too, or You Don't Know What Love Is. I mean, Billie with strings, Billie with the big bands, the jump bands. There's no wrong way. Billie Holiday, every song is the right song for me. That's the way I feel about it, and she kept me alive. My favorite image in the show is the one that I'm looking at the. I love them all. Why could I mean, obviously, I think we could say to choose one picture is really unfair in some ways, because each picture tells a different story many times. But clearly, if there was one, that would be the one. That's why it's the frontispiece in the book. It's probably among the first pictures that you see in the exhibition. As I mentioned, I was gushing about it being this perfect moment for Billie Holiday, no stress between her eyes, the pure trust between her and photographer. And one day, I hope to get the scan of Billie's eyes, if I can get a high enough resolution. And in Billie's eyes, I'm sure there's a representation, however blurry, of my father looking at her with the camera. And that would be something that I don't have. I don't have anything like that. But to realize that would be an amazing thing somehow with technology. I mean, I think anything's possible. But yeah, I mean, I love them. Like I would call, every photograph is my adopted brother and sister. Not even adopted. They're family to me. I mean, when I used to work at Atlantic Records, I always spoke about the photographer's work as children. Whenever photographers would come to see me, that's what I did, and that's why I'm a great archivist, because I treat the images and ephemera, all of it. It's family, it's kids, And in many ways, the photographs, even the ones behind me, I'm working on this huge Jerry Dantzic jazz exhibition for Portugal next year. They're my extended family, and I'm so proud of my father's work, and I just wish he could be here. Somebody asked me if I had one wish the other day, what it would be. And it wasn't $1 million and it wasn't world peace, although those would be very important wishes. I said, just bring him back. Just bring my dad back. That's all just if I could show him just one little walk through the exhibition, that would be cake. So that would be cake, right, Mom? Anyway, I'll be in Newark, and I've got a lot of energy, and I'm so excited to be there all summer. And then the exhibition will continue on beyond that into 2023. I got another question here. Let's see what we got. Oh, and the next book is not yet with the publisher, but probably I would say, we're going to be doing something in tandem with the folks in Portugal with relation to the Jerry Dantzic Jazz Retrospective, which will encompass not only Billie Holiday, but Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis and Chet Baker and Dizzy Gillespie and Lester Young and everything else, and all the albums that my father shot for Tico and for Bethlehem and for Epic and Columbia. I mean, many, many things, but I'm dreaming big, of course. I would say the most difficult, there's a question here about what the most difficult part is in creating the exhibition. Convincing the Smithsonian to do it. The blind faith. Again, taking the message from the messenger. Our late friend Al Wertheimer, who actually was a brilliant photographer who photographed my parents' wedding back in '58, had the previous one of the previous sites exhibitions, and that was Elvis Presley at 21. Well, here's Billie Holiday at Sugar Hill. I was a white rock and roller, black blues jazz singer. I said, you gotta equal the scales. And we're in Black History Month, although I find that slightly offensive. I think it's always a celebration, and it shouldn't be limited to the month. Now, all my heroes are Black, always have been, musically, poetically, etc. I could go down the list, but yeah, I'm just so grateful to be, helping to preserve this history and share it with everyone. So as I said, the more full picture becomes apparent. And my dream is, of course, that other little small segments of Billie Holiday will be found down the road, and we'll know even another slice, because this is just a small slice. This is a week of Billie, and maybe just a day at Randall's Island. I know there's great archives out there that are yet to be discovered, and it's my greatest joy to be able to cheer them on and to be part of this incredible community, because we're keeping the past alive. The past becomes present and future, right? But yes, you must listen to Billie Holiday. See my friend James Erskine's beautiful movie on Billie Holiday that we have 6 pictures in. It's called Billie. It's a documentary on Linda Cool's. She was a great jazz enthusiast and did all kinds of work, referencing and researching Billie Holiday. Got a couple more questions here. If I could photograph any, oh my goodness. Maybe is Amanda Gordon? Is that the poet, the young beautiful poet? Or I could say Joe Burrow, the great quarterback who might win the Super Bowl on Sunday. I don't know. The great artist of the moment. Maybe my mother. I don't know. That's a hard thing. Again, you can't choose these things. I mean, this exhibition is so much larger than me. I feel like I'm just just part of bringing it forward. I'm the great messenger. I'm helping it come out there. The megaphone that this story had to be told. Billie Holiday meant too much to me. She kept me alive when I had no other no other source of strength. Her voice lifted me up always, and then she was there when I needed to cry. She would cry with me. She was great. So yeah, it's such a great honor to be here, and I'm just the other wish that I have is that I wish that I could be in Omaha, Nebraska, and high five and everybody for the great job they've done promoting this incredible exhibition and working with the beautiful people at Sites. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I'm just so thrilled that we keep the dream alive and keep it going forward, and that I can include my mother is also a beautiful part of the dream here. It's very much a family affair. You could see with Billie Holiday, it was all family with Dufty. That was what this was all about, and that's why this really resonates with me, and why it's my greatest gift to the world that I've done so far. So yeah.
Well, thank Thank you so much, Grayson. If there's any more questions in the chat, I'll keep an eye out. But otherwise, I just wanted to thank you for your time this evening. Very big thanks also to your mom, Cynthia Dantzic. That was a really special treat, and we're so grateful. This will be recorded. This is recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel as well if you want to go back and check anything out or watch afterward. And then also just a reminder, the exhibit is open through February 27th. So you have just a little bit of time left to come see it or come see it again, which we would highly recommend. And then also that we have our Jazz and Blues series coming up. So on Saturdays, the remainder of this month, we have 3 more left. That is included with museum admission, and we would love to have you. It's a great chance to come check out the exhibit and hear some great blues and jazz music. So I don't see any other questions, so we'll wrap it up. Again, a huge thank you to Grayson and Cynthia, and we hope to see you all soon. Have a great night.
And I put my email in the chat. If anybody wants to follow up with me privately, please do. Thank you again, Abby, for treating us royally. We are so grateful for your support and energy. Go to the Durham, support the arts, and listen to Billie Holiday. It'll make you proud. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.